Hi everyone and welcome to the live stream here in Rome for the Italian Open 2024. I am Marcello Barberi.
I'm Alberto Marazzi.
And finally we are back together for you guys for this incredible duel of Yu-Gi-Oh! This will be the last Open of an incredible season, as next week we'll sign off with the national season, we could say. And this is the last Open, and we are here to gladly inform you that we have 494 players traveling from all over Europe to finally compete in Rome.
Yeah.
It's
we have
great.
seen big names inside the venue, a lot of known players that come all over from the place, and it's gonna be very long and interesting day of action. 9 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah,
so
we have 9 rounds of Swiss. Obviously, as it is an Open, we will not have a top cut, so we'll see at the end of the day who will become the Italian Open champion here in Rome. As mentioned, it's amazing that we are finally here for an event. We are both from Rome, but it has been a while since we had such an event in this city. Last time we were here for an Italian Open, it was back in January in Bologna, where we saw Alessandro Fiorito win the event with his Rescue Ace deck. And well, a lot has changed since then. And last week, obviously, I was on stream for the first ever Greek Open, which saw an incredible win from Stavros and his Tempai, newly released deck from Legacy of Destruction. And just like that event, it will be interesting to see a lot of impacts, the latest Forbidden Unlimited list, as mentioned, Legacy of Destruction, a lot in store and a lot to talk about this weekend.
Yeah, especially because I'm a big fan of the Tempai deck.
Yeah.
And I think we can save for later our picks for,
Yeah.
because I think it's too early to talk about it yet. But I'm a big fan, honestly, of the deck, and new synergies, new decks, and I'm really curious to see what our players will bring in action today.
Absolutely. As mentioned, from next week on, the first nationals will begin, and this is a really big chance for our players to, show what they have in store and maybe try out some, interesting ideas for national season. But to start things off here in round 1 of the Italian Open in Rome, we decided to go, obviously, for the current Italian Open champion, so Alessandro Fiorito. Switched from Rescue Ace, but still kept the fire going, as he is playing Snake Eye today, but with a twist, some Kashtira cards in there. But we gotta give credits to his opponent, because he is playing a deck that is definitely on the interesting side today, right?
Yeah, he's playing Jubel, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the deck in action, especially, Snake Eye has been very popular over the last tournaments and over the last few months, and I'm really curious to see the approach, against Snake Eye, and he has, some spice in the deck as well.
Yeah,
so.
Edoardo Tocchini, his opponent, as mentioned. We did manage to see a Jubel deck at the Greek Open in streaming. It was actually 6-0, so it was an impressive strategy. The deck list looks somewhat similar, but definitely different, as you mentioned. But without further ado, I think we can start things on here in round 1. It will be Snake Eye against Jubel. Let's go to the table. And here they are. It seemed to us that Alessandro actually won the die roll, so he will most likely be going first, which is definitely an interesting advantage. But the Jubel deck is one of those decks, maybe not quite like Tempai, but that can play going second and put up some big bodies on the field, we could say.
And do you think in this kind of matchup the die roll is relevant? You like to go first anyways, playing with Snake Eye, put your combo.
Yeah, I would be shocked if Alessandro was that familiar with the Jubel deck. Again, it's still very new, and the deck still has to find the, unique direction in which you want to go for. But it's definitely up there, and it can be quite scary if you don't know where to use your interruptions. But here we see, and we do see one of the few Kashtira cards in the deck for Alessandro. Just a very, very small engine in the deck, with, I think, 4 cards only in the main deck, so...
Yeah, and it started things off very well here, putting up the Okay, the Ash on the field, and let's see if there will be any response from his opponent's side of the field, but doesn't seem like it at the moment. And
Yeah, I mean it's a very interesting event. The main line that we have seen is players using 12 to 15 entraps. But the Jubel deck is one of those that requires a lot of engine, and he's only maining 6, so that's why we could expect maybe a different strategy, trying to break the field, and for now just allowing his opponent to play. And I mean, we have seen plenty of times this opening in the past few months. Players decided to go for a lot of different, combos. Especially with the latest Forbidden and Limited list, we have seen different things because 2 of the main synchros are now forbidden. One idea is to go for, Omega plus the Spatter, but this will not be the case for Alessandro. As he's playing the Kashtira cards, he actually has 0 synchro monster in his extra deck. Very interesting approach.
yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, especially because like you have a lot of different options, and I mean, if your opponent doesn't have anything to stop you, basically you're free to do whatever you want, no? And here with the Flamberge is basically able to bring back 2 monsters on the field as well, and yeah, I mean, this is a very solid opening. Like, yeah, I mean,
For sure, the usual stuff. But as mentioned, when you forego completely synchros, obviously that is not even playing the jet. I think the main idea is to always go for Appaloosa, which is a safe, way to play around Nibiru and other interruptions. But next to it, I mean, you probably take it a little slower. You can play with just the speed, the regular combo, we could say, and this is probably what we're gonna see. Nothing too crazy, nothing too game winning on his own, but just
yeah, and I think also looking at the deck list, it makes sense that he's on basically 6 entraps plus 3 droplets, basically, no? So if he goes second, he has also the option. I think droplet now is played basically by every deck list, so it's very popular.
And yeah, as expected, we see right away the Appaloosa come down, and now we're gonna switch the Oak. Again, very usual stuff. You get the second Flamberge, and you take back Mascherena. Solid. Yeah, as expected, we did have the Turf, the only Kashtira spell in the deck. And this can be annoying because the graveyard, banishing effect is also quite disruptive depending what you're playing against. And Jubel is one of those decks.
Yeah.
Because you tend to use the graveyard quite a bit to recycle, and it can be annoying. Let's see. Now the play is back on Edoardo. A lot of different options, but the Appaloosa can be quite annoying. Good news is he's also playing some Kashtira cards.
Yeah.
And let's see if he draws any of his options.
Yeah, I think like first thing you want to do is to force the Appaloosa, right? Because there's the Masquerena as well, which is and here you start things off with the field spell.
Yeah, we are seeing in action some of the new cards released from Legacy of Destruction, which is the Nightmare Throne. And yeah, as expected, Alessandro is picking up the cards to read it. Maybe not too familiar with it. Something though that we must keep in mind is that obviously Kashtira Rise Art is forbidden, and now players have changed the way they build their decks, and most importantly their extra decks.
Yeah.
And I can already tell you Edoardo is playing 15 different cards, which means that this unicorn can be quite disruptive, because if you get rid of those very important one-offs, then you need to play different, and this is why a lot of duelists have decided to try out this Kashtira engine in the deck.
I think here what I'd like to say is, I mean, we saw that Alessandro basically had a look at his opponent's field spell, right? So what would you banish if you look at your opponent's extra deck? You go straight right away from the XYZ, like the Varudras?
Yeah, the Varudras is definitely the boss, we could say, but going second, the things changes a bit. You can get rid of the SP as well. You have quite a few interesting ideas. But for now, we are gonna see, as mentioned, one of the key cards and enablers of the deck, which is Spirit of Jubel. This card does so much for the deck, because when you destroy it, you get to special summon, another Jubel, and then you also are able to access your spell and traps when it is summoned, and yeah, it's pretty much the heart and soul of the entire deck. So let's see if Alessandro will be able to improvise. Okay. Now we get to see one of the cards that was played in Sprite. This was a typical engine to get access to a level 2, which is the Dark Beacon Beast. And let's see if there will be. Yeah, it's. I think Apollousa was used first to negate the spirit.
Yeah.
And now Alessandro is thinking whether he wants to do something in response. He has the temple.
Especially because, like, I think it's not easy, like, to respond to your opponent if you don't really know what is going on, right?
Exactly.
So it's just maybe you're gonna give it a try, and yeah, it's going for Apollousa, which makes sense. And
okay, and now we see the additional normal summon essentially provided that grants him the Samsara. And again, as you mentioned, Alessandro will need to improvise. Because if you don't know what your opponent is going for, then we see one of the other best cards in the deck, which is the Gruesome Grave Wiremer. This is both, we could say, a 2 type of extender in one, 2 for 1 package, because you can special summon it when you have a Fiend. And then it also has an additional for old timers like us, Mezuki like effect, which you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon, either from end or from grave. So it does a lot.
and here, let's see how Alessandro is going to respond to this. Yeah, he's going to bring the Masquerena on the field, and he's using his effect. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to basically deal with this. Because I don't really think that he's saying his opponent's line, right? I think he just wants to prevent anything happen.
Yeah, he's just trying to figure out what to do. Ooh, and now we see a really good card. Actually, very patient with it. Decided not to use it on the first, Apollousa activation, let's say. But this is a huge problem because, as mentioned, the Kashtira Birth is able to just banish the graveyard completely, and this is what we're seeing now. Wow, this can be so disruptive, and as you can see here, this is devastating. Might have not been seen by Eduardo, but yeah, this is actually quite bad for him. And again, it's a very sneaky line. Usually you use Birth to just, extend, but the graveyard banishing effect is so good. And now I think we have the last play available from Eduardo.
That's the last one.
I think he doesn't have any card in hand, right?
Does it have permanence as well? Yeah, it does.
Wow. Oof. This might be kind of a quick one. He might be able to access, but I'm not sure. Let's see.
I think do you think that like maybe he forgot about the birth effect?
Yeah, I think so, because he was super confident, like without even thinking about it. And yeah, as you can see, unfortunately, the Kashtira Birth sneakily gave the game to Alessandro, and the current Italian Open champion start things off well here in Rome with a win in game 1. Great start.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great start. I think that his opening was very solid. This is like pretty much the usual stuff that the Snake Eyes deck does at its best. And I think what really won the game in the end was the birth on the field. I mean, yeah, like in general, we saw that his opponent was like very confident and calm, but like sometimes, for example, you may forget about some other effects on the field. And I think Alessandro, on the other hand, was patient. And even though maybe he was not so sure about his opponent's deck, because maybe he's not so familiar with that, he waited until the last moment, and yeah, he was able to seal the game, I'd say very fast, because like it was like 7-8 minute game. So I mean, we have plenty of time still in the match, and now I'm curious to see whether he's prepared, because like we are saying that he's side decking, so maybe he's not super experienced to play against Yubel, but you know, he may know the deck. And now, I mean, like I think that Eduardo for sure will be will go first, for example, and yeah, it's not gonna be easy. But you know, looking at the side deck, for example, he has some different options, and yeah, I think he's prepared a lot for going second, because like he has Ghost Stronger, he has the Evil Dimash, he also has the Super Polymerization, which is very good.
Yeah, at the same time, this is more obviously stuff for going second.
Yeah.
Going first, he will just try to go uninterrupted. But the problem is that his opponent has quite a different deck building strategies, mainly in 12 entrops and siding 8 more. So he can go all the way, you know, it's a crazy number up there. And especially the Bestials can be really good. And, you know, the art of improvisation, I think, is really good for these top players. Even if they are not familiar with the strategy, they can improvise. And, I mean, it doesn't take a genius, I think, to just look at maybe, you know, dark monsters and figure it out that Bestials could be very good. But obviously, it's gonna be easier for Edoardo to adapt, because Snake Eye, even if maybe not with the Kashtira engine, should be the most popular deck to be expected, as we have seen from past events. And yeah, let's see just what is gonna happen now that our duelists are almost ready. Let's jump back into action.
And here they are. Eduardo will start things off in game 2. Yeah, he starts things off with the Lotus and brings back on the field the Spirit of Yubel. So let's see if Alessandro has any response. Doesn't seem like that.
For now, not really. Let's see if there is a response. No, for now it seems Alessandro just allow it. Obviously, I'm trying to sneak at this hand. I see a Bestial,
Yeah.
so as expected. Maybe both?
A couple. Yeah.
Because he's only playing 2, and I think he might have drawn both the
Yeah.
Magnamut and... wow.
And the Druids. Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, for now, it's a solid opening. The Samsara gets you access to the Yubel engine, because you just tribute it to someone, you know, a Yubel monster. And as mentioned, both the Spirit... does so much. You get access to a spell and trap, you get access to the original Yubel, as you can see. But again, very different deck building from what we have seen in Greece. The Greek player was playing 3 copies of the original Yubel, and Eduardo is only playing 1. So he basically cut on the potential dead draws, I would say. And yeah, I think I might like this approach better. So solid opening. Here we get access to one of the interesting cards, the Mature Chronicle, which gets potentially more Chronicle counters and then, you know, does a lot of more effects. But here we already upgrade the Yubel to the second stage, we could say. And yeah, let's see where he wants to go for right now. I think we might go for, yeah, Link Shu.
Yeah.
And now it's the interesting part of the deck. He's basically accessing a very small unchained engine, which I like, because he can abuse the fact that Sharvara is limited to 1, and right here he's getting it.
Do you think Alessandro is wrapping his head around what is going on? Or?
Yeah, I think he's thinking, when should I use my Bestials? I think a good idea could be... for example, he might be thinking to the Groove some Grave Squarmer. The problem is it doesn't target. So he might be caught off guard by this, because the card doesn't target. It summons even from the end. So, you know, Bestials don't work too great in the spot. But what it would be interesting to do is that he could just use it on the Squarmer. But I'm not sure if he's catching it. And yeah, he doesn't. Yeah. So I'm interested in seeing where he wants to go for that.
Okay, now he goes for the Shavara, and now the Yubel's effect will trigger. Nice stuff, and here it comes. Yeah, the OG.
And now I think he does have Magna and Druid, but I don't think he has other interruptions from the end right here. So for now, Eduardo is free at least to combo off. And yeah, as expected, he just goes for the Unchained line for now. With the Soul of Rage.
And do you think that siding in the bestials, like I mean, we're seeing that he didn't use them yet, right? So it's
Yeah.
maybe like that there was.
Because now the issue is if he doesn't use them, we could see the card that you were mentioning, the Varudras, and then the Varudras can be quite annoying. Because, yeah. I think that's why exactly. So
Yeah.
Alessandro sees the danger, so at least he is familiar with what would be the end game for the deck, and he decides to pull the trigger on the Magnamut. Might, depending on the targets that he has, obviously can add back from grave as well, so it makes sense to activate it. And yeah, here we see, as expected, the Varudras coming down. Quite an annoying card to deal with. And the talent, this is huge. Gets to pick the only playable card in terms of engine for the Star. And this end is not looking great. Druid's Worm, Droplet, and Divine Temple. He really needs a solid card off the top. The good news, I mean, it's an interesting moment. As you can see here, though, Alessandro gets to resolve his Magnamut. And this is fair enough, giving him, you know, the Flamberge. Important top deck. A lot of good cards, because obviously the Droplet helps quite a bit. Let's see what he picks up. But this was a very, very solid opening by Edoardo, showing us what the Jubel deck is capable of.
Yeah, impressive, honestly. And I mean, that talent hurt a lot, honestly. Let's see if Alessandro can fight this back. It's not going to be easy, though, but he may have some resources, you know, to deal with this. It's not going to be easy, especially because, like, the Varudras on the field, of course, it's can be quite annoying, but it starts things off with the Druids.
Okay, let's see. Here, it could make sense to negate it. But obviously, he knows that the Droplet is there. So it's a very interesting position. I think it makes sense to negate it. Let's see if there is a response. No response.
Okay. Goes through, and okay, he uses Varudras to destroy the Magnamut.
Yeah, because Druid's Worm, it's not destroyed.
Because he put it on the in the field, right?
As you can see here,
Yeah.
The Druid's Worm will stay in his hand, so corrected by the judges. And now we see a Cosmic Cyclone, one of the cards coming in from the side deck. Obviously, already good against the Snake Eye deck. Even more when the Kashtira, but what a top deck. The last card is top deck is the Fenrir. And now, let's just see. I mean, he has full knowledge of the end. He obviously knew about the Druid's Worm. He knows about the Flamberge, so he knows everything that in his opponent hand, and for now, no response. Allows him to grab this Unicorn.
Well, the Fenrir is huge, honestly, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of good top decks, but obviously the Fenrir can be quite annoying, and now we will just enter Battle Phase, it seems, trying to attack, and just punishes the face down Soul of Rage. Let's see what he can find, because obviously the Druid Worm has been activated. The Unicorn is kind of useless at the moment. And Flamberge and
then Droplet,
and I think that might be it.
I think one last card, maybe.
Take a look. Alessandro trying to think what options could be. Tough spot. And yeah, it seems like he will just set a card and play is back to Edoardo. Now is the driving seat and can try and push back. Obviously, he must keep in mind what his opponent has. At the same time, there is a very interesting idea, which is that the Mature Chronicle has a very sneaky last effect, which for 5 counters you can search super polymerization from your deck, which is a very interesting, unique ability of the card. So maybe we could see that later on. And he has already 3 counters, I believe, so he only needs to summon, a couple more Jubel monsters. But yeah, great card right here in the opening of the Spirit Gates. This is the card you'd rather draw compared to the Beckoning Beast, because it gets, the engine going.
Yeah, I think Alessandro here really wants to be on the defensive side, right? Because he has the Druid's Form in hand, he has the Droplet, so it's...
Yeah, and again, he has full information. He knows the face down is Droplet, so he can, try to just push through it. The only thing he must keep in mind is if he can try and force this Droplet out, it's great, because then next turn there's not much to be afraid of. But he needs to put up as much of a big push as he can, while obviously, being careful about the Fenrir effect.
Yeah. I mean, if he manages to play around the Droplet, which he knows already, it's I think it's doable. Like, not easy because there's this Druid's Form as well, but,
And now we get to the 4th counter, which also allows you to maybe just use it, because super polymerization from the end is good, but you can also use the Mature Chronicle to destroy a card on the field right here. So if you go for that, you can force the Droplet, and I'm kind of a big fan of that, because then your opponent is kind of on the weak side, and I think, yeah. For now, he's comboing through, which is interesting but kind of risky. I'm wondering what the last card would be for Eduardo. But yeah, now we get what we saw in the previous turn. We get access to a second copy of the Gruesome Grave Squirmer. And now, yeah, the original Jubel comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I think he may indeed consider activating the effect and destroy.
And now we do have the 5th counter.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If he wants the super polymerization or to destroy a card, he can do it. It's up to him to choose a lot of different options. And yeah, unfortunately, the Chronicle was a little too greedy maybe with it, because now it's gonna get banished by Fenrir, it seems. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Plays back to Eduardo. Could have just attacked.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could have entered battle phase and wow, another talent though.
This is huge. Another talent. Is it again from end, or let's see? Yeah, you can see Alessandro having a think, as he could chain the Druid's Worm here. And yeah, and he knows the last few cards. Definitely not that happy about it. The Druid's Worm, I think it's too important, because it also allows you to have a little bit of a combo, but it seems like he instead went for a steal. And this is interesting because he's, as I mentioned, he's also playing Kashtira cards. So he could use this Fenrir to search out other copies of it, unless he has sided them out going first. And yeah, this is what I was talking about. I like this play from Eduardo. He's just trying to have a push, forcing his opponent to use the Droplet ineffectively. At the same time, there is a nice, at least decent play, which is if you get the Druid's Worm off the field and then you Droplet it away, you kind of get a 2-for-1 where you can negate a monster and then, send something else. And this could work, from the dark.
Because I think here Eduardo wants to seal the game, right?
Yeah, he's trying to go for game. It doesn't seem too likely that he succeed through a Druid's Worm plus Droplet, but he can force out enough that his opponent, will be kind of an ineffective spot. And also what can happen here, though not too great, is you can change the Druid Swarm to whatever target the Dark goes for. And yeah, that's also a decent way to go about this. But you can see Alessandro having a think. And I think he's preventingly using it
okay.
on the Squarmer. Yeah. He's learned kind of from his previous plays. And now he has the option of doing what I mentioned. Yeah. He's gonna just go for the droplet and get this pseudo 2-for-1. At least in terms of interruptions, because he gets rid of the Varudras and negates the Dark. But this is still risky because he has access to Selene potentially into an access code called Talker.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of damage. And pretty much just a monster away from sealing the game right away. Again, he has full information. He knows Alessandro is holding the Flamberge. Let's see.
Did he enter battle phase?
No, I think
No,
they're just debating, with the judge on the plays. But yeah. Now back to Eduardo, and as you can see, gonna go for a link play. Is it the Celine? Oh no, he did enter battle phase.
Okay.
Interesting. So yeah, just enter battle phase, playing a little safer, but this is not that great if it's alone, because we know the unicorn is in the end. So you can just go for unicorn and attack over the SP if there is no other interruption. Yeah, and plays back to Alessandro. Situation looked grim, but now I'm also surprised, as mentioned, that Eduardo didn't use this Fenrir. I think he must have sided out all of his Kashtira, but this is great. And this, again, is the power of the Kashtira engine. You can just attack over, and it does. Wow. Great comeback here from Alessandro, who is free to do whatever he wants. He gets the birth, and this gets him back his Fenrir. And yeah, I mean, we have seen Kashtira card during the last year a lot, and you can never count them out. Out of nowhere, they seem to have sneaked back into the Snake Eye deck. Snaked. And yeah, there is also an interesting option. He's playing an OG level 7, rank 7, which is Dragosak. But no. Play is just back to his opponent. And I don't mind this. We have seen how good Birth is against the deck. He literally straight up won Alessandro the game, the previous game. And now, yeah, both are very threatening. Because again, the extra deck is slim. And
I mean, this might have changed the entire game, right? Because we thought
Yeah.
that Eduardo was controlling it. I mean, the unicorn alone caused a lot of damage because there's the Fender as well, plus the birth. So now Eduardo is not sitting in a easy situation for him. So
yeah, and even after like 2 full turns and yeah, not the greatest of top decks, and 2 copies of talent as well
yeah.
resolved, he's still in such a bad situation just from one Fenrir, by the way, which was the top deck last turn. And as you can see here, again, Alessandro disrupting his opponent graveyard thanks to the Kashtira birth. Just in doubt, gonna get rid of the cards that look the most threatening, I think. Yeah, debating about it, as you can see, not quite sure himself what to go for. And yeah, just gets rid of 2 of them. And the current Italian Open champion looking in a very comfortable position to start things off with a win here in Rome today.
Still curious to see what Eduardo's last set is because it's been there the whole time,
Yeah.
right? So it's I don't know.
He's having a big think about it. And yeah, gonna go once again for the pop. Using this Nightmare Pain over and over again to just add another Jubel card. What is it gonna be? Again, the last copy of the Grave Warmer. Normal summons it, and then gonna go into a Almirage. Yeah, that's the only option. This is the last push available for Eduardo. But the problem is in this new chain, once the Spirit of Jubel comes down and activates, he is able to use both the Fenrir and the Unicorn, as you can see. And this is exactly what's going to happen. No response. Gonna resolve one last add from the Spirit of Jubel. And yeah, you can see Alessandro just debating what looks the most threatening here. Macracker, yeah. What did he add? Was it really on the Nightmare Pain? I'm not sure.
Yeah, not sure about it. Yeah.
Is it gonna be it for Eduardo? It is another copy of Nightmare Pain. It all comes down to this last card, potentially. This might quite be it. And yeah, plays back to his opponent. We could have already the match winner just moments ahead of us. Alessandro in an amazing, amazing position. And still pretty much doing this game without having played a single Snake Eye card, by the way.
If you think about it, it was just Magnamut.
Yeah, Kashturia Bestial, basically. Yeah. So it works.
He didn't do much, honestly. It's just a Magnamut that was
and a
destroyed, and then a Drusmut that wasn't pretty much, you know. Yeah.
And I mean, for a reason, obviously the Magnamut is limited, and you know, Fenrir is also an amazing card. And as you can see here, the options are really coming down to the wire. He's just banishing some cards which are not gonna be that relevant for him, and yeah, just so much disruption available. Not quite, maybe, as you can see, to seal the game in this turn. So Eduardo is gonna see one last draw off the top, but he needs a miracle to come back. At least the good news is, I mean, it seems like Alessandro, yeah, has not picked up one last card. It's a great one to pick up off the top, the Nightmare Throne. But is it really gonna be enough? Obviously, you can take and destroy what could be, for example, Spirit of Jubel once again, but in a tough spot.
Curious to see, though, what Alessandro drew into his last two turns, because he didn't play any cards.
So many good draw off the top. Like, any Snake Eye card would have been amazing.
And if you think about it, he didn't draw even maybe any Ashlow or something like that, because...
for now, no, yeah. Might be quite the unusual cards in hand as well for Alessandro. Yeah, he doesn't really need much. And yeah, we do get the Spirit of Jubel as expected. But again and again, these Fenrir and these Surf just gonna banish so many cards. I mean, yeah, and as you can see, the only copy of Jubel in the deck is now gone. Playing only one, and it is gone forever. Banished face down by Alessandro.
Yeah, just giving him some explanation before going and continuing, but a tough spot for him.
Yeah, he has almost full knowledge. Again, that face down, we don't know what that is, but...
Oh, that was the Ogre. Okay.
Oof, this is tough. Again, we expected some form of disruption from the end, as he didn't commit to anything. But yeah, that's about it. I think passed back to Alessandro, who now gets rid of Anibiro for the Diabest Star, finally drawing some engine. And this seems like mission impossible right here from Eduardo to stay in this game. But yeah, Alessandro is just playing it I guess safe. He doesn't feel comfortable. And here is the handshake. Alessandro wins 2-0 this round one. What a match. And let's go back to us for the post-match discussion. Well, what a way to start the day here in Rome. As mentioned, we have a great day of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ahead of us. 9 rounds, 494 players gathered from all over Europe. And here in round 1, we had Alessandro, just the current Italian Open champion, starting things off great. 2-0 victory, pretty smooth. Cash Tiro Cars putting in work.
No, I mean, like, it was impressive, especially because, like, as mentioned, he didn't do much in game 2, basically. Especially because, like, it seems as if it was on Edoardo's side, right? So he had 2 talents and he was controlling the game. And yeah, maybe as you mentioned, he could have gone for the access code talker.
Yeah,
maybe that would have paid off. But, you know, like, in the end, the Unicorn alone won in game 2. Because, like, with Defender plus the Birth, and we have to mention that he didn't draw any playable cards in 2 turns, basically, because it was just, you know, waiting, and that was it.
The talent was the key card, shuffling back the Diablo starting game 2. But then the Fenrir top deck really caught Edoardo off guard. And I mean, as mentioned, Snake Eye is not a surprise. It has been popular, it has been winning event both before the latest Forbidden Limited list and afterwards. But the Cash Trio cards looked impressive. Yeah. They carried, I think, Alessandro through this victory. And I am really curious to see what he has to say about this win and his deck. So without further ado, guys, we are going to go on a short break and we'll be back with Alessandro, the winner of round 1, for an interview.